What's going on, YouTube? Spyco Lord of Fire here. Another new project that I'm going to be working on. So I decided I didn't like playing life on easy mode, so I'm going to kick it into hard mode. Just got me a new boat. This is going to be a project. It is according to the serial number, which I will show us momentarily. I bought myself a 81. Of course, it's not going to show up because it's early morning and the sun doesn't want to cooperate. But I got myself a 1981 Alicorte Sunfish made by AMF. I picked it up for about 300 bucks and hiked it back over here to my shop area. And yeah, this is my new project. Had a substantial amount of work to do to the boat trailer. The trailer was quite in a state of disarray and disrepair. Had to make it roadworthy and put a light kit on it, so that way I can make a legal beagle for going down the road. Yeah, that guy right there. I guess it helps whenever I show you what I'm looking at. Any hoozles. Yeah, so there's 1,000,001 videos out there. Hundreds of people are restoring these. They're great. I would be willing to bet, if I was a betting man, that this is probably one of the most made watercraft of all time. Just between the 70s and the 80s, AMF was spitting these things out so freaking quick, and they are all over the place. There's been a few other sailors all over YouTube that have recommended that if you want to learn, this is the boat to do it on. And frankly speaking, at $300 for a buy-in for both the boat trailer and the boat itself, not that bad. Now, the known issues with this that I've got from, going all over YouTube and watching and garnering and looking and knowing what I can know, is that there's two types of foam inside of this hull. And this hull is supposed to be a completely sealed design. Ingress of water can happen from a bunch of different areas. A lot of the times as time goes on, particularly in where the dagger board area is, where everything else mounts to the deck, is a known failure point. And then also sometimes the compound gives up this between the upper deck and the hull. So today what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try to split the hull from the deck, because I'm going to try to resurface this, refinish it. The hull also needs a little bit of work, so I picked up the proper materials. I picked up a bunch of compound and binding agent and stuff like that from my local paint shop. I will, whenever the point in time comes for me to actually do that to the boat, I will show how it's done. And this is going to be a project. Like I said, this is just, I started working on it before I did anything else. I was so excited, and then I found out, that inside of here there is flotation foam and there is structural foam. And what ends up happening is that the foam that's in this general area is kind of almost like a spray foam. It's known to absorb water, and it makes the boat incredibly heavy, which means that it doesn't sell very well, and it turns into a litany of other problems. So as far as the outside trim pieces are concerned, I already have them removed. For anybody that's curious about the drill bits that I used, it's a 1/8 or a number 30 or a number 31 drill bit. Just drill out the pop rivets. I had to be as careful as I could because I'm still dealing with fiberglass, and fiberglass, generally speaking, it breaks pretty easy. Let's see if I can get that into focus. So like this area right here wasn't too badly marred before I started, and then in my zealousness I got her messed up a little bit there. So that's where we are right now. That's what's going on with this one here project. I got my pry bars out. Right here off the very I'm probably gonna say the wrong phrase, but I'm pretty sure this is bow. But off the bow, the very front here, you can see, if I can get the camera to cooperate with me, right here, right where my fingernail is. That looks like it's already split. There's another video out there of somebody that their go-to method for diagnosing where you have weak points and everything else in the hull is you've got your drain port right here, and what you do is you take your air bit, your air chuck, you put it in your drain hole, and then you walk around the outside of the hull and you spray it down with the soapy mixture. Now, it doesn't look like I have, but I assure you I've extensively cleaned the deck and the hull with Simple Green, just, you know, a general light all-purpose, all-duty soap. But, you know, I've got spidering in the paint. I've got all kinds of stuff going on that kind of makes me raise an eyebrow as to the integrity and the strength of what I'm dealing with. So I went through, I stuck my air hose down in my little port right here, and I went through, I sprayed everything down. Basically anything that's mounted to the deck is kind of a failing point. Also, you can pressurize the hull, at least to a certain extent, because more air was going in than what was coming out. So that is a thing that can happen. Some of these holes on the hull are like a little worn out and pulled out. So I think what I'm going to try and do is make backing plates. And because if I'm already going to separate everything, if I'm going to separate the deck from the hull, I'm just going to make backing plates for everything, and I'll put nut plates on my backing plates, so that way, you know, should I ever have to pull this thing apart again, it will be, you know, it'll be going the long way around, but it should make everything worth the effort. And on that note, I think I'm going to stop it there, quit my rambling. Big shout out to everybody on YouTube that has put a litany of information out there about this boat, and it doesn't matter if you've made your video yesterday or if you've made your video, you know, 7 to 10 years ago. There's so much good information out there on YouTube about this boat, about fixing this boat, working on this boat, sailing this boat. It's all out there. It takes a lot of time to sift through all of it, so I won't take any more time. Thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, I'm going to keep working on this. It's a bit of a project, so bear with me, and we'll see where we get as this progresses. Alright, I'm at the point where the purchase point that I thought should have been there wasn't, and the purchase point that wasn't there was. Long story made short, I kind of messed up here on trying to go in, and may have a little bit of extra work to do to make that right and waterproof again. But the good news is that I am in fact starting to split the deck from the hull in such a manner where it is reminding me that I detest working with fiberglass, because everything sounds like it's irreparable when you're taking apart 2 layers of fiberglass. So that's one more update, and we're gonna keep going here. Well, so far it seems that the best going method I have is having this jimmy bar, whatever the hell the proper name for it is, having this between the upper deck and the lower hull, and I'm using a dead blow and just gently tapping it down. This seemed to be far more sealed than what I thought it was, but you know what? In for a pence, in for a pound, so we're gonna see this through to the end. Yeah, alright, so where we're at right now is I've finally managed to split the hull. Started here at the bow and got it up, and oh, would you look at that, there's a repair, and I suspect that over on the side over here, I'm seeing a lot of extra fibers and such, so I think some point in time in a previous, one of the previous owners, I think that they smashed up this side of the boat pretty good. and they did their best at a repair, and then they tried to seal up the hole there, and I mean, you know, I get it. You do what you have to, but that's where I'm kind of at right now. I found out that the carry handle that goes right there was backed with a piece of wood, and it's a little bit rotten. It's definitely seen some better days. So yeah, I'm also actually kind of really glad that I did this, because looking in here, I can see where they put more foam, but I don't know if it's the right foam or not. And going off of how much of this, it's almost like a deteriorated foam. It's just kind of floating around right now. Um, I suspect it's not the proper stuff, but we'll see. We'll see. Alright, so I'm about 3/4 of the way through right now, and what I've noticed is, so if there is no split and you're trying to do this, there is a trick to make the boat cooperate, and what I have found is that chisels are the way to do it, because sometimes the glue wants to separate from this lower layer of the hull, and sometimes it wants to separate from the deck. And just because you have a nice spider going that you can try to follow, you know, with your pry bars, doesn't always mean that it's going to follow it. So what I like to do is I like to dictate where it's going to go. I've been trying to keep it 50-50, which is not always it's not always feasible, but that's kind of like the best way to really go about it. Is that if these are still sealed, the whole assembly is still sealed together, generally what you want to try and do is to take a nice sharp chisel and separate the top from the bottom like that. And once you make a purchase point, you got to be careful, because instead of trying to go down the line like this way with the chisel, because what'll end up happening is your chisel will want to cut, it'll want to cut up or cut down depending on how it's oriented in the in that seam. So the best way to do it is to just go one step at a time, just right on down this seam. And again, like, this is not the de facto how-to, but frankly speaking, I really didn't see any videos anywhere online telling me how to do this. So this is kind of self-taught as I go, and hopefully somebody at some other point, you know, with all the other videos that are out there on this boat and Sunfish, you know, maybe somebody else can glean something from this that will help them. I did manage to split the hull, and holy smokes, am I glad that I did, because this foam looks absolutely atrocious. Some of the mounting wood is like completely rotten. A lot of the foam is deteriorated in there. There's still standing water in there underneath the deck. It's extremely humid, and really, the more, as it stands right now, I'm glad that I'm going about this whole process. Now, whether or not I feel the same way in a couple months whenever I have to try and put it all back together, and you know, it might not be so cooperative. I don't know. In all intents and purposes, I've never really worked with fiberglass of this nature before, and this whole project is, you know, for lack of a better term, kind of uncharted water. But, you know, it came from nothing. If it goes back to nothing, it's not the end of the world, but I'd like to try and make this thing as nice as I possibly can, is the end goal. You know, frankly speaking, if Samson Boat Company can buy a classic sailing yacht for $1 and give it the Ship of Theseus treatment, I don't see why it's a bridge too far for me, with dedication, hard work, and elbow grease, to make my little Sunfish here waterworthy again, and turn it into hopefully a really, really nice boat. Alright, whenever I get everything separated, then maybe I'll go ahead and go into removing the foam. Unfortunately, I'm not filming while I work because I only have so many hands and I don't have camera stands and all that other stuff. And frankly speaking, it's mostly just me listening to music and swinging a hammer. You probably wouldn't hear anything too interesting anyway. So if it's noteworthy, I stop working, I make a note of it, I make a, short little addition to this video, and then I move on. The splash guard here, I know it's rough. I'm probably going to drill out these rivets, order a new splash guard. Shout out to Sunfish Direct. They are not sponsoring me in any way, shape, or form. I want to make that abundantly clear. But I will say they are probably one of the best people to work with, as far as I've heard, and my personal experience as well. Sunfish Direct, I reached out to them. They have like actual people that, will email you and talk to you, and you won't get some calling center halfway across the world where they barely speak English, or you won't get the automated messages from a lot of the email traffic and stuff. So if you need parts for your Sunfish Direct, I'll go ahead and give them my thumbs up of approval for whatever the hell that's worth. Yeah, let's finish splitting this baby and move on to getting all of the foam out of it and drying out the hull. Yeah, right, so when we last left off, I was in the middle of trying to split the hull, and now she's split. So, yeah, it's been a heck of a process. I'm really glad that I made it to this particular point, because there's this stuff, which is like dried, deteriorated foam that's all fallen apart. And a lot of this foam is wet, very wet. Enough so that, like, even just putting my finger right there, I can feel that it's wet to the touch. So, this foam right here, let's see if I can try and... Alright, maybe not. Maybe in a minute. I have to give it a little bit more English before it's going to pop off. Anywho, yeah. Let's see if I can get the camera to focus. And of course it's not. But, yeah, so whenever I cracked this hole, there was water in the bottom. Still standing water, nonetheless. And, yeah, there's a couple certain places where you'll see the upper here did not split the way I wanted it to from the lower, but, all things considered, I don't think it's anything beyond the realm of reason for me to reseal this with the appropriate epoxy, and I did purchase, like I said, sheets of fiberglass, so I should be able to cut it into strips and make it exactly what I need it to be. Let's see, where's the spot where I messed up whenever I first started? Right here. Yeah, that's gonna be a little bit rough to deal with, but again, it's everything about this has been a learning process, start to finish, and it's going to continue to be a learning process. This is just one more step in me trying to get towards the end goal. My intent is to shop back all of this stuff out and pull out all of this, like, great stuff type foam. I don't know the proper chemical terms of, let's poly this or, expansion, whatever that. However, I will say that with me suspecting right here where the house-like looking paint was and where this patch is right here, wasn't completely unfounded. Turn that off because I don't know how sensitive my microphone is on the camera. Yeah, so they clearly put some kind of patch over it, but why they did I don't know, something about it just doesn't seem done 100% the correct way. But it doesn't mean that I can't make it look good. And that's kind of, aesthetics is going to be part of this project for me. I don't just want to do this, I would also like to make it look nice. This has been my project thus far. I don't know, I think this is probably where I'm going to call it quits for the time being. I know that there's simple upgrade stuff, like I'm probably, some of these rivets, right in this area, they're starting to pull through on the fiberglass, and chances are I'm going to just drill all the rivets out in the cockpit and end up putting a there's a new self-adhesive strip that a lot of people recommend for that. But all right, I mean, let me try that one again. I welcome comments, I welcome questions, I welcome concerns, because I don't know what I don't know. As far as all of the hardware from the deck, I still have it. Sorry it took me so long to address that in the video. It's all sitting in a box, same, like, again, this is the dagger board right here. This is the rudder. The rudder has a nice crack running all the way down. I want to try and repair this. I want to try to put a nice finish on this, but if I can't, I can't, and I might end up just buying more aftermarket stuff. So yeah, that's what I got for this here video. Hopefully I can edit it down to something palatable, and you know, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I will do my best to be diligent about answering everything. Alright guys, I'll catch you on the flip side.